Hey, good evening, everyone. Mike Miller with Verum Leadership Group. Just relaxing tonight at home and wanted to talk to you about the law of influence, continuing our series from the John Maxwell book, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. One thing about leadership is you learn that it's influence. That's really all it is. If you have influence over somebody, you have some level of some form of leadership with that person. Hopefully, if you're married, you have some influence with your spouse. If you have children, you have influence with your children. And of course, leadership carries responsibilities, and that those who are following your leadership, you want to take them in good places. But leadership is influence. It's really quite that simple. Who are you influencing? That's the question tonight: is who are you influencing? If you're influencing somebody and they're following after you in that particular area of life, then you're leading them in some form or fashion. Years ago, on one of the first publishing dates of this book, this is called the Law of E.F. Hutton. For those of you that are old enough, you remember that E.F. Hutton was a broker during the time, and the commercials always took place in a crowded room, a restaurant, subway, wherever, and two people were conversing, and one would say, "Hey, my broker is E.F. Hutton," and the entire room would lean in and listen because they wanted to hear what E.F. Hutton had to say. So that's how this got entitled the Law of E.F. Hutton. Now it's just entitled the Law of Influence. But you understand where that comes from, that if everybody's listening to you, you're the leader. Pay attention in a group of people. Next time you're in a meeting, who do people listen to? That's the real meeting. John even tells a story in the book about one of his first pastors when he was a young pastor. They were having a board meeting in a church, and he realized pretty quickly that people weren't paying a whole lot of attention to him. However, when this one gentleman spoke, everybody in the room stopped what they were doing and listened intently to what he said. And he said he realized very quickly that that gentleman was the real leader in that group of people. So the Law of E.F. Hutton is when everybody listens, that's who the leader is. Now, there's a few myths concerning leadership, particularly having to do with influence. The manager is not necessarily the leader. Position title doesn't have anything to do with leadership, really. The entrepreneur, just because you've started a business, that doesn't mean that you're the right person to lead that business. You have some sway over people, but for that business to go to the next level, you might need to bring in a real leader or someone that is able to do some things in that area that you're not able to do. Just because you're a pioneer, you're the first one that's ever done something, that doesn't mean you're the leader either. You may have a position, you may be the CEO of the company. Are you really the CEO? Who do people listen to? There's your clue. But the real test of leadership, and I've told this to people before, you want to check your leadership, try to lead a volunteer organization. The volunteers don't have to be there. You can't fire them. You have no control over how much they're being paid because generally it's a volunteer organization, they're not being paid. But you want to try out how good of a leader you are. Lead a volunteer organization, lead a group of people that don't have to be there. They're only there because they want to follow you, or they're only there because they want to accomplish something together. So check it out. Try to lead a volunteer organization. And just remember this week as you go about your week and watching interactions with people, watch who people listen to, because leadership is influence. That's all it is. Have a good one. Bye-bye.